Hello everyone. Here we go again with another mini lesson or instructional video on one of the chapters of the Millwright Manual. In this case, we'll be covering chapter 22, installation and leveling. Once we complete this mini instructional video or mini lesson, hopefully you'll be able to understand better how machinery and equipment works out there and how you go about when installing and leveling different equipment and machinery. In this chapter, you're going to be able to um, understand some of the terminology when referring to machines, and also some of the procedure on how to level and how to install new equipment or recommissioning equipment again. Okay, so let's begin with installation and leveling, chapter 22. In this, as I mentioned before, we're going to be talking about certain terms of how to identify equipment, and we're also going to discuss some steps on how to level. But before we get in depth on this one, we want to make sure that you understand that as you begin your journey out there and you're working with equipment, um, you want to make sure that all of the equipment is installed properly, as it will make the machines last longer. There will be no breakdowns on the equipment. As you can see here in the first paragraph, says that if you follow the proper steps, basically you will have less problems, right? So studies have traced 70% of mechanical breakdowns due to misalignment out in the field. So in order for us to control that, we have to make sure that we follow the steps that you're about to learn. Later on in this, in the Millwright Manual, you will have chapter 23 that deals with alignment, laser alignment, and rim and face, and other type of alignment. But for now, we're going to talk about installing the equipment in the ground or in sole plates, or and then alignment will come later. Successful installation of new equipment depends upon basically the steps that you follow. Always go back and fall back into whatever manufacturer specifications are. Usually they'll tell you exactly what you're supposed to do. Let's give a little bit of a background information here. So this is extremely important for you to understand, as it depends of how and where the machine is installed and what is the process that you're going to take. So we have machines, base plates and sole plates. Any device which power is supplied at one point and does work at another, it's what we call a machine. Okay, the machines may be made up in sets, such as the driver and the driven unit, and they might share a common mounting plate, or in this case, what we call base plate or bed plate. Okay, machine units that do not share a common base plate require different type of alignment. The machine units are set and fastened to heavy metal plates, which are called sole plates or subplates. They are set into and anchored to the foundations. Independent machines are different from the ones that you would have in a sole plate or in base plate, as these machines are basically standalone. Some examples would be what you're going to see in a video later on how to level lathe machine. So lathe milling machines, those are standalone equipment. The following terms are very important for you to understand, and for test purposes too. but primarily because there are terms that you're going to hear out in the industry. And basically what I've done is I have the sections that are highlighted there are important for you, because again, it'll explain sort of what is it that you're talking about. So primary equipment, basically we talk about equipment that is the first unit of machinery that is set in place. Some examples would be pumps, conveyors, compressors, refiners, etc. In most cases, this is what's referred as a driven unit. Okay, primary equipment. Prime movers, what you have as prime movers are referred as the drives or the drivers. And examples for these ones would be motors, turbines, combustion engines, and so on. That's your prime mover. Prime movers are usually the last machine unit to be aligned. Transmission units also come with some other equipment, transmission, and they transmit mechanical energy from a prime mover to a driven machine. Some examples of transmission units, you might be familiar with this from your vehicles, from your cars, right? So you got gearboxes, differentials, variable speeds, and so on. Transmission units such as the common drive on a multi-vacuum pump assembly is usually regarded as the primary unit and installed first. The foundation, the word says it, main support, where you're gonna set the machine. Dowels are basically used to align equipment and machinery. When we have a practical that you're required to basically drill a hole and install a dowel, and you will be a little more familiar with it once we get to do that. The practical is on the mating block, which if you're not already have done that. Benchmark, you probably remember this from drafting 2. Basically are points of reasonable permanent character established by a surveyor, and they're also called elevations. Datum points, again, from drafting, you can find this there. Datums are necessary to correlate measurements used for the elevations. Datum plane, which is a specific horizontal plane from which height and depth are measured. Piano wire is a piece of equipment that you use, and it's a tool basically that you use, and it's wired, which is a very, you stretch it out very tensile as a straight line. It may be drawn extremely taut so that it gives you a straight line. Okay, so understanding this, it's these terms, it's extremely important for you to prepare for when it comes to installing equipment. So we're moving on to general installation procedures. When it comes to installation procedures, what you have to keep in mind is that you have to always refer back to whatever manufacturer specifications are. When I used to be in the industry, we used to send a millwright from our shop to go install the equipment. And many companies would actually do that because of warranty, and also because the manufacturer will know exactly how to set it and where to set it, and what are the requirements for it. So usually when you're dealing with some equipment, that's going to be the case, where you're going to get the manufacturer to come and install it. Smaller projects might require more of your involvement, and then therefore you're going to have to just refer back to manuals and refer back to whatever is it that will satisfy the needs of the piece of equipment. And of course, keeping in mind that that is your main objective, so that the equipment is installed properly, so that it doesn't break down. Okay, your primary equipment is the first unit of machinery set into place. Then you would follow up, or you would follow that installation with the transmission unit, and finally the drive unit. And some cases, as we mentioned before, the transmission unit is the primary unit, as is one. As you receive the equipment, as you basically commence your installation procedure, you have to be aware of everything around it before. So care of the equipment prior installation also plays a big role. As soon as you receive the equipment and you are in charge of actually um, performing the installation, you want to make sure that everything is in good and proper condition. Many cases, equipment is shipped in different ways and it might have gotten damaged during transportation. So you want to make sure that you check everything before. So make a little checklist, go over certain things so that you don't run into issues later on. Some startup precautions and maintenance include what you see here. So inspect the equipment prior, basically, or upon arrival. Make sure it's in good condition. If there are defects, you might want to check out the protocols for rejecting it, sending it back, calling the manufacturer. Of course, check manufacturer specifications. Super important again, because as I mentioned before, sometimes it's if you're in charge of it, you have to refer back to those manuals and recommendations. Doing your oil checks and lubrication on the equipment before you install is always a good idea. So making sure that everything is in good working condition, your oil is at the levels that it's supposed to be. You might need to have some light flushing depending on the equipment. Examine equipment with openings such as pumps, fans, refiners, compressors. Basically remove any matter and seal the openings with covers to prevent contamination. You might want to check the shafts, rotate the shafts of large units, or rotate the equipment at least once a month. Do this whether the equipment is in storage or is in permanent mounts. This is basically if you haven't installed it yet. Handling equipment, handling machinery. When moving machinery, it's important to understand how to do it. So you already covered the chapter on rigging. So hopefully that will give you more understanding of certain points of picking up, moving equipment, center of gravity, and all that. As caution, always use approved safety procedures when handling equipment. Always use the following procedure. Okay, as again, by doing some of this work already in your rigging chapter, plan the move, right? Plan how you're going to do it. Ensure that you have everything in order. Your plan is set. Your equipment to move, it's ready. Like in this case, you might have like forklifts, you might have cranes, whatever it is, you make sure it's ready and you have a clear path. Review the lifting specifications, going back to your rigging chapter. Protect all machine surfaces from damage. Lift the load and the center of balance. Remember that, the center of gravity. And that's, again, important procedure that you need to follow. Mechanical installation specifications. Again, go back to manufacturer specifications when it comes to the install, align, test, calibrate, lubricate, startup, test run, and assembly of the equipment. Very important because of warranty too, right? The following here is a basic installation and alignment and testing sequence. Okay, this is important for you to internalize, understand that this is basic install, align, test sequence.